Hello, world. The following is a conversation with co-founder and CEO of Q39 Restaurant, Kelly Magee. She and her late husband, Rob Magee, co-founded Q39 in 2014. Q39 quickly exploded into the Kansas City BBQ scene, elevating itself as a top destination for Kansas City BBQ seekers. But where did this high-quality barbecue restaurant experience derive from? We sit down with Kelly Magee and get familiar with both Rob and Kelly, their story before Q39, each of their passions in the business, the challenges they have faced, the future of Q39, and so much more. Before we say anything else, rest in peace, Rob. Kansas City misses you, bud. Thank you to Rob and Kelly and all the Q39 team for providing Kansas City this one-of-a-kind experience in our great city. This is Enterrupt KC. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to Enterrupt KC, the Kansas City podcast, where we dedicate ourselves to people, places, and things right here in Kansas City. It's my boy JL. Twice, man, twice.
Who's G, man?
I extended that JL.
No,
JL.
JL.
I'm your man, derive, JL, man. What's going on?
Man, a lot, a little, a lot, a lot. It's been busy, man. It's been busy. Summer's off to a busy start.
Yes, sir. It is. It's off to a great start.
Yes. Always want to remind everybody, tap the subscribe button. I know you see it right there on the video, or Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this to, hit subscribe. We're just out and about, man, in Kansas City, having great conversations with all of Kansas City, man. Yeah,
man. And I wanted to add to what you said. You know, don't forget to go back and follow our last guest that we had, which was Adam Hall down there at Boulevard, man.
Great conversation with Adam, man.
Oh, man, it was incredible. Adam. Shout out Adam, man. He was a great guy, great
Rocking
conversation.
The hat today.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that episode, just go back a little bit, check it out. Great time talking about beer, the beer here in Kansas City, and how a lot of the creations, even the names of how they came up with them.
That's incredible, man. Tank 7 story.
Oh my God, it was funny.
Space Camper story.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Love it, man, because that's Kansas City, man.
Kansas City, baby.
But yeah, man, and then, just want to tell everybody, follow along on socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. How about the intersection clip that I put out?
Man.
We asked people, what's the worst intersection in Kansas City? And the first three guests we asked that question to all said Southwest Traffic Way and Westport Road.
Yeah.
And that clip just went crazy on TikTok. And Instagram.
Yeah.
So always fun.
That's a great one. That's a great short.
Tonight, though, D-Rod, we have a great guest.
You have no idea. Well, maybe you do.
Maybe
how
they do.
Excited I am to, for one, be here and to have our guest here. You know, it's incredible.
And I know we're going to get into a lot, but we are in your old stomping grounds.
Yes, sir.
Grew up right behind this place. So without further ado, you want to do a salute?
Yeah, man, we got to do a salute to this, man. The mixologist came and brought us his creation here.
What's the name? What's your name?
I'm Mark.
Mark?
Yes.
Mark. Shout out Mark to
Mark,
this incredible.
Midtown North Theater.
I'll tell you, we smoke the honey
Thank
in
you.
the house. That's like we smoke it.
Oh, man. Hey, listen.
We're going to get into some of that.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Cannot wait.
Incredible old-fashioned.
All right. Without further ado, man, it's time to interrupt our guest.
Yes.
And by interrupt, you all know we mean introduce our guest. None other than D-Rod.
Yeah.
The one, the only, Kelly Magee. How are we doing?
Hello.
Kelly.
How's things going, Kelly?
Terrific. Really great.
Good. Thank you for taking time out.
Yes.
It's busy, crazy, hectic in here as usual. And you got us lined up back here to talk with you.
You got a variety of things in front of you,
yes.
Q39 things. So for those that don't know, Kelly, who are you? What do you do for Q39?
Sure. My late husband, Rob Magee, and I co-founded Q39 in 2014, about 11 years ago.
Wow.
And this was the original location.
Yes. Man.
Yes.
It's incredible to think that was 11 years ago.
It went fast.
Went fast.
It went very fast.
And you became a staple in rapid speed time.
It surprised me. Yes.
Did it surprise you?
It
We want to
did.
get into some of that. We definitely do. You know,
sure.
what we're about, Kelly, Enterrupt KC, we're about grabbing people's story.
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody's has a journey. Everybody has a story behind them. Yours, I'm sure, is incredible, and we cannot wait to talk through it. So why don't we start with this? Let's talk about the origins of Kelly Magee, Rob. Let's talk about that. What was those early days before the restaurant? What did it look like?
Sure. So Rob and I met and were married in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And he was a culinary, classically trained chef from the Culinary Institute in New York. And I have a career in developing businesses. At the time, I worked for Hallmark for almost 15 years.
Okay.
So, and did a lot of business development work there.
Are you original Kansas Cityan?
Sort of. My parents are small town Kansans, and my father was a naval officer, so we lived all over the country, but we ended up back here while I was in high school.
Gotcha.
And then, so I'm a Jayhawk. The whole family has been up at KU.
I almost wore my Jayhawk stuff tonight, Kelly.
There you go.
You're speaking JL's language.
You are. There's a reason why I sit on the Kansas side. You know, I'm a kid, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, right?
Yes, KU.
So that's awesome. So you went to KU?
I did. Graduate there with a business degree many eons ago.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you and Rob, I know you said you got married early on, but when you were growing up, what did that look like for you structure-wise? You had a mom, dad, sisters, brothers?
Yes, very traditional family. Mom and dad, they met shortly in college, got married, and had me, and then my brother followed 4 years later, and we did live around the country, everywhere from Washington, D.C., Alaska,
Dad was a naval
Hawaii.
officer.
Yes. So moved around a lot of new experiences.
So, like you said, born and raised Kansas City almost, right?
Almost.
Adjacent.
You know what, the roots are here. And, you know, I think when you graduate high school and college and stuff, it's such a strong community.
Oh,
this is
man.
where my affinity is,
Yes,
for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just thinking, like, no matter what anybody says, I mean, you're a Kansas City staple now. So Kelly, Q39, tied together forever with Rob. I mean, come on. That's awesome. So you and Rob meet. Rob, culinary chef from New York, right?
Yes, at the time he recently moved from Denver, and he had just started at the Crown Center as food and beverage director there.
Oh, okay.
But for life balance purposes, he had stepped back and taken a smaller food and beverage director job out at the Hilton near the airport.
Gotcha.
And that's when he and I kind of met.
Okay.
nice.
Now, when you said he moved from Denver, so was he original from Denver?
No, he's actually born in New York and finished high school like in New Jersey. And, you know, he was an East Coast youngster, but his family spent quite a bit of time in California as well. So he's also been all over.
Yeah. Man, I was going to say, I mean, New York City, D-Rod.
Man, I love New York City.
I'll be honest. And
There's a lot of food there.
I mean, New York City, I don't think about barbecue.
You don't.
Yeah.
You know,
don't.
I don't think about barbecue.
Well, and the interesting thing about Rob was wherever he moved, he tried to take up some hobby or passion of that area. So for a while he was in Charlotte, and he had his own boat, and they would go out water skiing every day. When he was in Denver, he picked up motocross, and he rode motorcycles, like
Really?
competed.
Oh, wow.
Just loved kind of the thrill, the sports, that sort of thing.
Thrill seeker.
So when he moved to Kansas City, he picked up this competition barbecue thing with just some friends. Hey, come out and do this. And they went to the Lenexa barbecue, which is huge. And he's like, well, this is kind of hard.
Yeah.
So that got his competitive juices flowing.
The seriousness of it.
Yes.
What year would that have been about?
That was about 2001, 2002-ish.
So it's early.
Yes.
24,
Yes.
23 years ago.
Yes.
Wow.
Long time.
And do you know, I mean, had he cooked barbecue up until that point or focused on it?
Not really.
No?
I think he also enjoyed not just taking up new hobbies, but he enjoyed the different regions' cuisines and kind of embracing them. And as a lot of chefs do, it's like, I want to learn about what's great here.
That's what I was about to say. Chefs, that's what they kind of partake in.
Yes.
Like learning
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
Okay, you said that was 20-something years ago?
Yes, like 25 years ago, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and then you moved here.
I was thinking about this, Kelly. I was like, well, for you, possibly, barbecue, kind of like, hey, this is home, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it wasn't like something you didn't know about, I would say.
Correct.
And
Correct.
there wasn't too many
Yeah,
I mean, around that time.
There's a couple
frame,
staples in
I mean,
Kansas City.
there's a couple
There's a
staples.
few.
And, you know,
Yeah.
Well, I went to high school out at Shrine Mission South.
Oh,
And
okay.
one of my classmates is Greta Spears, and her dad is Hayward Spears,
Yes.
and they owned
Hayward's.
Hayward.
Hayward.
So we
Come on.
frequented Hayward's back in the day.
College Boulevard and
Yes, which
was
is-
it Quivira Antioch?
Antioch and
Antioch.
College, and that's now, ironically, that's where, or maybe fate coming full circle, that's where our Overland Park location is now.
Wow.
Nice,
That's
nice.
that's amazing. That's amazing. So you were friends with the daughter. The father was
Yes.
Hayward. Okay,
Yes.
amazing. So Rob finds himself at the Lenexa barbecue competition.
Yes,
I
correct.
mean, what are you thinking at this point? Like, oh my gosh, here we go. Like,
Well, I was like, well, that's a fun hobby, but
can't be serious about this.
correct. I think any time when you have 100 teams entering a competition,
Oh, yeah.
and you have a table of 6 judges composed at different tables, and you're getting these blind scores. There's a lot of subjectivity, and a lot of us have watched
Yeah.
other sports, like the gymnastics, and they're giving this style score, and you're
Right.
like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of opinion based stuff. So I think I would have been frustrated personally very quickly on some of the scores. Like, wait a minute, why?
Yeah.
Who is this
Yeah.
guy? What is he thinking that?
Right,
So
right.
I think, but then because there's like a cut score. Rob decided I want to do this more often. I want to be better at it, and eventually he was inviting judges to our house.
Oh wow.
He would pick something to practice on, 1 or 2 meats to practice on, whether it was chicken or brisket, and those or pulled pork. Those were the 2 he practiced the most. I think was
Right.
brisket and chicken. And he would ask him in the wintertime, have him over. He'd try different things with them, and he was taking notes and asked them to take notes. I mean, he was
he was all in.
incredibly
Yeah,
dedicated.
he was all in.
So we know what Rob was busy doing.
Yes.
What was Kelly busy doing during this time?
So Rob was traveling. He ended up going flip to this real quickly. He was 40 to 50 contests a year, and that's about 1 a week.
Yes.
And it's about a 4-day process.
And he was traveling
all
United
over.
States?
Everything from California to Florida up to Minnesota and Texas.
Wow. He got real serious
In
real
those
fast.
competitions.
Yes. So we have 4 kids between us, and so somebody had to hold down the home front. So I was busy making sure everybody got to their soccer games and their swim meets
Yeah.
and all those things. And it took 2 of us. We
Absolutely.
couldn't. So
And I'm sure you're like, you better bring home some ribbons. Damn it, you better bring home some
it took him a while, though. I
better
gotta
win
tell
something.
you.
You better get them trophies. You better get all that.
It took him a while. I will say he started his first serious competition was 2002. And then it was 2007, maybe 2006, before he won a grand championship of a contest that had more than 100 teams.
Oh my God.
And then in 2007, he finally dialed in his sauce that is our classic sauce today.
Still use it right
we
now.
called it the 07 sauce forever.
The 07 sauce.
Yes,
Now
the
why?
07,
Just
because-
because number 7.
Because that's when he won.
Well, it was in 2007.
Gotcha.
And then another really funny small twist, that was also the year he went to the Jack Daniels for the first time, which the Jack Daniels, they talk about that old number 7 is kind of the
Yes.
thing. So
Yes, yes.
there was kind of a little joke that everybody's like, oh, it's the 07 sauce.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the story there. So yeah, 06 and 07, it took him 4 years.
Wow.
And people think, oh, if I'm a good cook, I can go out and do this.
Right.
But the full competition of Kansas City BBQ, you have to have a lot of respect for the teams that do that. It's
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah, and there's a lot. There's so many.
Man, so many.
I mean, not just restaurants, but there's so many teams of just
Thousands.
buddies. Yeah,
Yep.
Well,
buddies that-
it's funny because like one of our first guests that we did
Yeah.
was shout out Drew Eanes, man.
Drew Eanes.
He had a fun kind of high school team that
Oh,
just
yeah.
carried on, and their dads did it, so they just kind of carried the legacy and started
love
doing
it.
it. And I remember when we were putting their episode together, when we were looking them up and researching them, like, wow, they actually like got pretty good. Like
Yeah.
they won chicken. They like won some awards.
That's
know?
awesome.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that was just amazing. What would you say like early on? I mean, obviously today, you guys are good at everything. Early
Thank
on,
you.
what would you say like? Rob got really good at making this, and there were some bits and pieces he
Some
needed to work on, or
hiccups.
maybe him out of himself. He was like, I need to get better at X.
I think I think ribs was his first success story of where it came easiest to him. But I think ribs is also a faster cook and a more controllable piece of meat. It's a more standardized shape, more that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Chicken can be challenging. I think brisket, pulled pork was hard, but I think you can dial it in more easily. It's not as hard to keep it moist and flavorful at the same time.
Right.
Brisket was the hardest for him.
Gotcha.
And I think the cut of meat is unforgiving. And so if you do anything not quite right, I mean, you can kind of jazz it up a little, but and he tried so many things. And I mean, we have a mountain of notes from every contest. And he took very old school. He took and just wrote scores and kept everything. And so, but brisket was the one that was the hardest that he practiced the most.
Right.
There's no way he did all this by himself. Did he have a team of folks?
Absolutely not. He did have a team of folks.
Okay.
So we have, I'm trying to remember all of our fantastic friends. So Ronnie Martinez, who still works with us today. He's out at our Overland Park location. He was one of his very first teammates. He said, I'm going to go out and do this.
Nice.
And they took 3 backyard smokers, loaded them up in a pickup truck, and drove to contest. And that's how they started.
Wow.
He had a couple other friends that joined him. We have Jeff Eastman. I don't want to forget anybody, Chad Amos. There's just so many of them. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm forgetting them. But there were lots of people. Larry Hadley was instrumental. He was a judge and introduced him to a lot of judges, but Larry was also a teammate. So you can, as long as you're not judging a contest, you can go to another contest and be part of a team. Right. But because he went every weekend, they had to rotate because not everybody else could take every weekend and go, because it's a big time commitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're talking about his team. For those people that don't know, what was the name of his team?
It was Munchin' Hogs.
Munchin' Hogs.
Yes. Yes.
Munchin' Hogs.
I don't know how they came up with that. I'm sure they had a few drinks and like, I know what, let's call it.
I mean, we're kind of Munchin' Hogs, D-Rob.
Hey,
I mean,
I'm a Munchin' Hog, man, all the time.
Listen, we eat, so love that. What was the conversation like, Kelly, when I would say you guys started talking about, okay, we got really good at competition. He started winning, I'm assuming, quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Talk about the transition from, amateur, I would say, or just kind of weekend competitor.
Warrior. Yeah.
To we want to start a business, a restaurant.
Sure. So there's a couple things to plan ahead of time that kind of came together. So when we first met, his extreme dedication and passion, it's like, well, what do you want to do with all this? And he's like, I either want to be a celebrity chef or I want to open my own restaurant. So like I knew he was going for something. I knew that was his goal. In 2008, he was the #1 team in Kansas City BBQ Society for the entire year. Wow. So he earned more contest points than any other team, which is really hard to do. He did it again in 2011. Okay. And at that point in time, I'm like, well, we're not getting any younger. And it's hard work to do some of these things.
Right.
So I said, look, I think we need to, go for this restaurant thing if this is what you really want.
Right.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I'm never going to be home. And I kind of laughed. I said, well, you're not really home.
You're really not gone. You're gone all the time anyway.
You're not home right now that much either.
He was probably still practicing at home, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. When he was home. But again, by this point, he was gone, most weekends.
Okay.
And at that time, was he already perfecting everything pretty close to it? Or I would only assume that just like artists, right? Like you keep on going. And it is an art. It is art, however you may call it, with the food, whether the drinking, it's an art.
It is.
And we're our worst, our most critical critic, right? And so he's probably like, I'm not ready yet.
So I have a really funny story. We were, it was probably 2012, 2011, later on.
Okay.
And again, these chefs are never satisfied, like you said, and they're always kind of tweaking flavors and processes and things. And so it is the blending of art and science.
Yes,
absolutely.
And he and his team, they went somewhere in Illinois, so it was a kind of far drive, and a bunch of them went. And he actually got disqualified. They call it DQ'd. I was DQ'd because he turned it in like too many seconds too late. Like you're on a
Has to
strict
be on the
time
strict
clock.
time. Got you.
And so
And
he
they
got
just disqualify you?
yeah, so they disqualify you if you turn it in too late. Wow. So his team was mad at him. He was mad at himself. And then the next weekend we had a contest somewhere west of Lincoln, I believe, Nebraska, and none of his team wanted to go. They were all mad at him.
Oh, my
so
God.
I said, we'll go. And I participated in a lot of the contests. I was around him enough that when you work with a barbecue person who is getting stuff ready to turn in, you watch them, and it's almost like being in an operating room. Yeah. And so they're kind of perfecting things as they're going, and you're like handing them the sauce, and you're handing them like the squirt bottle, and they're touching things up, and so you're kind of staying along with them, and when you know them, you know what they're thinking, and so we kind of did that a lot. Yeah. So it was our son Colin, who was probably maybe 8 at the time, and we went up there, and he won the whole thing. I think we took first in 3 of the 4 meat categories. Wow. And I think he was like, okay, it's time to stop messing around. I'm going to do what I know works. But it was just funny because he was always tinkering and took a little too long, and then he's like, oh, forget it, I want to win, and this is what I know works.
At that point, did you guys already like perfect the sauce, like the sauces we know today, any version of them?
Absolutely. So he did have that 07 sauce was our classic sauce that again perfected in 2007. Yeah. So that was the main thing he used. Okay. And he would tweak mostly the rubs, which you see we even have them here today, and they're partnered with what they bring out in the meats based off of the length of time cooking and the density of the meat itself.
Gotcha.
And then you pair the sauce with it. So when a pork, because it's a little fattier meat, it goes well with vinegar. So everyone who loves, Carolina barbecue, they know that quite well. It's like a vinegar-based sauce is what really complements that meat and gives that real pop in your mouth.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that's what took so long with him being gone, and all those notepads that you have and cherish. Those are his holy grails.
Yes.
Right, of all that, man.
Yes.
Just learning lesson after lesson, right?
Trying to perfect
lesson after lesson.
Yep. What I was thinking about is you're talking about you was in Nebraska and in that competition there, and I'm like, hold on, they have barbecue in Nebraska?
Be easy on Nebraska, derive.
They love their barbecue up there, yes.
And I'm sure they do, and I'm sure there's some great ones. I'm not throwing no shade to anybody. If you're going to like Miami, you're going to all these other states like Minnesota and all that, like they're not known for that. But I mean, the love of it is still there, and a variety of people from different states that are going to these competitions like that.
I'll tell you what I was thinking about. I was like, okay, did Rob ever come home and say, Kelly, this state, holy moly.
Yes, he has.
Or this city, like, talk about that. What was he saying?
Good or bad, I mean.
Well, there were so many stories. In Florida, the weather was really tough because they would have storms and wind and things like that.
Of course.
Down in Texas, he went down and like really kind of embraced the Texas barbecue style. But they have, is it semolinas? Am I saying that right? The pigs?
Yeah.
That I might be saying that wrong, but it's they're wild pigs, and they herded them through at night, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, they were so scary." So I hear some crazy stories of things like that. We've had nights where thunderstorms roll in. Sometimes it snows, and it's like trying to take care of the smoker when it's rained on because then it drops
the temperature.
Yes, so we have like blankets that were only used for the smoker because of course they were terrible smelling.
Right.
I think the more challenging places were the further south you go, the more spice, and the further north you go, the less spice. So it was very hard. It's not about what you like; it's what about the judges like, or what your guests like.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, I've never done any competition with food. I would never, Kelly, by the way. I'm not
it's tough.
I'm not that guy.
Oh,
I'm not
that
guy.
I bet it is.
So we were working toward the conversations of Q39. What ended up coming
how it came together.
Yeah, so how did it come together?
So I think, again, we were having that kind of conversation of, look, I know your dream is to really, open a restaurant. And, I think we can do this. And we're not getting younger. So, what do you say? Let's get going on this. This was about 2012, actually, right going into 2013.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, yeah, I do want to do this. I'm like, okay, what kind of restaurant do you want to open? Because in my mind, Kansas City's got plenty of barbecue restaurants at this point. And he looks at me, he's like, well, barbecue, of course. And I'm just like, being in business development, I'm thinking, really? I'm just not sure
Don't know about
that's
this
a
business model.
smart idea.
Yeah.
There's so many.
You talk about a crowded marketplace, right? And so I kind of kicked around and said, all right, what are you going to do differently? Why you? What are you going to bring that nobody else has? And he got very passionate very quickly, and he says, I am going to bring pit to plate. Really, truly, I'm going to serve barbecue fresh every meal period.
Oh, wow.
And everybody says you can't do that because you can't plan it. You can't. There's no recovery time, right? If you run out of something, you're out.
Yeah.
So he got so many people telling him you can't do that, and he's like, "Watch me. I'm going to figure this out." So that was his number one thing. He wanted to serve competition quality barbecue to restaurant guests. Always, on the regular basis.
Yeah. Were you sold when you got done with that?
No. I was like, you're going to have to show me. So we had a smoker parked in front of our house a lot. And he had he took all he did from competition and shrank it down and was like trying to figure out how can I do this and guess. And then once we did open, it was how do we figure out how many guests are coming in? And there were plenty of nights early on that first summer.
Yeah.
It's like I'm greeting guests at the doors. I said, well, will you just have chicken and sausage left this evening? So, and some people like, oh, that's okay, we'll come back. And others like, okay, we'll try it.
Right.
So you just have to get there's an old adage of fail forward. You just have to keep trying and figuring it out. But his team and the pitmasters that we have, many of them have been with him since the beginning. And they got very good at saying how many reservations are on the books, knowing what time of year it is, and guessing, not guessing. They estimate, and they do a very good job, very, very knowledgeable estimates of what to cook, and they do a fantastic job with it.
Do they still do that to this day?
To this day. That is still our motto.
Wow.
Nice.
So 2013, 2012, 2013,
Yeah.
you guys are like, okay, let's do the restaurant. He sells you on it, right?
Yes.
I mean, you asked the hard questions. That's a great question,
Absolutely.
by the way. What are you going to do different? Reminds me of our conversation, D-Rod, about a podcast.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And talk about opening Q39. Well, let's work on this. So he tells you the business model, the idea, how he's going to be different. Okay, now what are you doing? Are you looking for a location? You doing a name? What is that?
Sure.
Next steps.
Yes. And what's funny is you do all those things all at once. Like it becomes a little bit, and you probably know this, a little bit of an obsession. You start talking about it all the time. And we probably talked about a name for a year and a half.
Really?
And
What were some of the names you threw out there? We got to know.
I think there were tons. We had like smoking this or meat. I can't remember. There was
Rob
like
and Kelly's
Ignite.
barbecue.
Well, it was never really me. It was
Okay,
all about him.
Okay,
So I was kind of always in a support kind of business role, not as a chef forward role.
Right.
So we had Robacue, Rob's Ribs. We had again because that was his favorite thing for a while. We had. Ignite was one of them, but I hear some of these other names. Anything you would come up with. We even liked at that time, gastropub terminology was big, but when I would float that around with people I knew, they're like, I don't like that. They just didn't like the connotation of it.
Gastropub, what is that? I'm sorry.
It's a kind of a boutique term where it's kind of a pub style but unique. Terms for kind of experiencing food, a pub style, but more elevated and more creative.
Yeah.
Got you.
And again, that was just a big trend at the time.
Got you. So how did you guys come around to Q39?
Well, when we found the location, like the search for the name and the search for the location kind of dovetailed.
Got you.
So when we landed on 39th Street, another trend at the time was, people like this on 39th, or there was a number and a name or a street name in people's restaurant names. So we said, well, why don't we shorten barbecue to Q and attach 39 to it? And that was the one thing we could agree on, one name. So we're like, okay, that's it.
It was great. And I think at that time, too, is when they started repurposing a lot of these buildings down here.
Yes.
And started adding on a lot of other restaurants just a little more west of where you're located.
Sure.
Here. For those people that do not know, and there is some people, what's your address here?
It is 1000 West 39th Street.
Wow. That's an easy address to remember.
It is easy.
1000
Thank goodness.
West 39th Street.
Yeah.
So
Q39.
you knew you were going to be on 39th, or did you know this was the location
This
were going to be?
was the location.
Okay.
We looked and looked and looked.
I was going to ask, like, what were some of the other locations?
I honestly don't remember.
You don't? Okay.
He did more of the scouting.
Okay.
He basically quit his day job. You know, the whole scary thing. Don't
Yeah.
quit. So I held down the fort now financially, and so he could find the location and figure out the details. He was working on the recipes. He was working on the design. He was doing all of that stuff.
Gotcha.
So I wrote the business plan. He had all the content, but I packaged it together. So if you can
Gotcha.
think about somebody who knows all the details of, I know how much money it needs to make. I know that I have the financials. He had some
Right.
friends help us with those numbers.
Right.
But I packaged it all together, put together the whole plan part of it, because that's what I brought to the table, really.
Absolutely.
That's my expertise.
Well, that's the important stuff, too.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It's gotta make
somebody
money.
has to think about that.
Yes.
All the
right?
paperwork, all the legalities.
Yes.
I heard a rumor, and correct all these people that told me this. Well, maybe 2 people. Throughout this whole time, the rumor was that Rob was a welder. Was he ever a welder? They said that he was a welder and that he built his first smokers here. Somebody told me this years ago.
Yeah, not this Rob. No, he was
okay.
not. He did have his smokers custom made,
Okay.
but he did not. He was not a welder. I wouldn't put it past him to try that.
Well, yeah,
he
yeah,
didn't.
yeah. Well,
He did not.
And mind you, this was years
It was
ago.
competition welding on the
Yeah,
side.
yeah. This was a rumor that I heard years ago. So I'm gonna tell him he's
Yeah,
wrong.
not quite, not that particular, but he did race motocross, so you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
Q39, 39th Street. So we want to give our folks an opportunity. They have some plates for us, Kelly.
Oh, yes.
And so we want to give them an opportunity to, I don't know, give us the food. How do we want to do this? There's
don't
food
know,
over there.
Yeah.
We can worry about that in here in a second. So everything's set in stone. You're coming here.
Mm-hmm.
When you're starting up this restaurant, did you know how many people you needed to do? I mean, you talked about the team being here, and you clearly wouldn't know like how popular this would be on the jump, right?
No idea.
Yeah.
And as everybody who opens their own business or restaurant, it is very scary because you
Yes.
open your door and you're like, please, dear God,
Just
let
come
them
in.
show up.
Yeah, just come in.
So we did a lot of things. I think it's hard also hiring restaurant people because restaurants are notorious for not making it. So it's hard for an employee to come work for you full time.
Yeah.
And that's their only shtick. Because if
Yeah.
you don't make it, they're out of a job. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of prove that. We started with 35 people.
35, okay.
And this room that we're sitting in right now was not part of the original restaurant.
Oh,
It was
okay.
just the side just
Just
to the east
this
of us.
side, okay,
Yes.
on the other side of the wall here.
So a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And
What was the seating?
I think it was about five to 600-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's let them bring us this food because it's hot and you can't eat Q39.
I'm sorry. I'm going to change that number. We'll catch that later.
You got some video?
However you want
video of it, Nick?
to, however you want to do
I
it.
think they want to show it off too.
Yeah, we could.
The
we
cameras?
Just
You got a phone on you?
Appetizer.
pork belly.
It's on a bed of apple slaw. It's got a Dijon aioli around it. And it's topped with bacon, onion, marmalade.
Awesome.
How can you go wrong with that? This is our
Awesome.
apple slaw. There you go.
Some coleslaw?
Wayne's got the fun part around here.
Oh man! look at
Holy
that.
moly.
Look at
So,
that.
so that's our competition platter,
Okay.
our championship platter,
We
excuse
need
me.
to put that in here between D-Rod and I because perfect.
Our honey, classic, zesty, and chipotle cilantro barbecue sauce.
Wow.
So,
Oh, my
Dwayne, would you
gosh.
show them? It's the 4 competition meats plus sausage.
Yep, plus sausage. So you're getting the burnt ends, smoked chicken, spare ribs, pulled pork, sliced brisket over there as well. And then every single one of our sauces that we have to offer for you as well. All served warm as far as our sauces go.
Yes.
Feedback with those.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Dwayne.
Wayne. Thank
very
you, Mark.
much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Sure.
This is an amazing looking plate and board. Holy moly.
Man, I
Was-
want to get into it so bad,
Was
but
this served first out the gate? Oh, doors open. We're serving this.
No, each individual dish, somewhat, yes.
Okay.
But this particular platter, we would bring that out just on special occasions. So National Barbecue Month, we might feature it here or there.
okay.
And then it's been so popular, and it's such a great thing. When people come and visit, they usually have friends with them, and they want to try everything.
And
so it became obvious.
That's a perfect dish to try everything. Everything's on there. And man, like a guy like me, and JL knows this, a guy like me would grab and order something like this and try to smash the whole thing.
That would hurt you.
I know it, but
so it's intended to be. I don't know if we scaled down the portions for you gentlemen, but it's intended to be.
Thank you so much.
It's on our menu now, and it serves 4 to 6 people.
Okay.
Well, I got to ask this question because I was thinking it when you were talking about Rob being gone every weekend, cooking all this food, practicing at the house.
Sure.
What in the world did you do with? I mean, you fed the family
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Holy moly.
We would share with friends and family, and always. It was just we'd always have.
Come over.
Yes.
Rob's done with the ribs.
Yes. He also developed a little bit of a following. Here we are at an airport hotel, the Hilton at the airport.
Right.
And he would bring the meat. He'd have enough left many times after competitions. He'd bring it back, and he would slice it up and serve it on Mondays. And so the crowds around there, businesses knew, and they would come. And one time, I don't remember what year this was, but it was early on, Alton Brown, from the Good Eats.
Yes.
He was at Nebraska Furniture Mart doing an appearance, and someone asked him, so where's the best barbecue you've eaten in Kansas City? And he goes, well, weirdly enough, it's this hotel I'm staying at.
Really?
Yes. We were like,
that's Rob.
Yes.
Wow.
That was quite the
compliment.
Very much so.
Wow.
Very much so.
Incredible. All right, so 170-ish people opening day. What are we doing now? We added this addition here in Midtown.
Yes.
What are we doing 5 now?
No, it's up to 250.
250 now.
Yes.
And what was this building prior?
This particular part was a nail salon.
Oh, right here where
Yes.
we're at?
Okay.
Yes.
What did it? On the other side, was it that the original look of it?
Not at all. Not even close.
Really?
It was a Chinese restaurant before.
Oh, okay.
So we gutted
Gutted the whole thing.
completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. So, a little fun fact, I grew up directly behind here, right? And I remember when I was younger, it was a Shoney's also. Right?
It started out.
It was a Shoney's
Really?
for a while. Yeah, it was a buffet. I don't know how long it lasted. But yeah, it was a Shoney's as well.
You ever eat at Shoney's? You had to.
As a kid, I know I did.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was an experience all on its own.
But didn't they have them as you drove across country? Like you could stop at them. That was what it was. It was road stops. Right.
Real quick, I drove out of town. This is a couple years ago, and I'm like, oh my god, a Shoney's. I want to relive my childhood, right? Because the one thing I remember about Shoney's, Kelly, is they had a phenomenal breakfast buffet.
I bet.
And so this is growing up though. This is in the 80s, right, for me. And so I'm like, oh man, we got to pull over. We got to do Shoney's, D-Rod. Let's do it. So I forgot who I was with. I think it was with my mom or somebody.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
I've been to a Shoney's down south. I was down in Mississippi. And their Shoney's in Mississippi was incredible. They had gumbo there. They had a bunch of fried fish and chicken and shrimp.
More
it was
local.
all Southern Creole Shoney's. It was incredible. Enough for Shoney's.
Yeah.
How can we talk about that when we got there?
Well, I mean, look at this dish.
So pork belly is my go-to meat around
That's
here.
yours?
Is it?
I just love it. I mean, what's not to love, right? About
It looks
pork
like
belly.
it's made on a grill. Maybe it's just hit on a grill real fast. Is it smoked?
So it is smoked and grilled both.
Okay. And it's served on a bed of coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
And then has some, what is the
Is it
cream?
coleslaw?
some onion, some.
Here, look, check that out, D-Rod. And there's what is it jam or jelly or what's
Yes.
on it?
Bacon onion marmalade, my friend.
Bacon almond marmalade. Wow.
Bacon onion, yes.
Bacon onion. Bacon onion marmalade.
And
I'd like to get
the
in that.
coleslaw, we have several coleslaws because, interestingly enough, it's a medium that you can change and develop flavors, which a lot of different cultures know this quite well. You take that cabbage, you can do so many things with
Oh,
it.
my
So,
gosh,
so this one is our apple coleslaw, which is our original. But very quickly he was playing around with it. We now have a spicy coleslaw that has jalapenos in it, and things like that. But again, he's just added on and
So with your coleslaw and trying to mix them all up, do you still do that to this day and try and find some different types of meat and incorporate that in your menu?
Not so much.
Or sides, I mean.
Occasionally, we'll try some different things.
Seasonal.
But we have everything from shrimp and salmon and chicken wings and pork belly. In addition to, we make our own sausage in-house. We make our own hamburger in-house. And then we serve the brisket, pulled pork, and ribs and regular chicken, smoked chicken. So, there's not a lot of room to add a lot of proteins. If we do that, we have to pick one to get rid of almost. Like, who's going to be the survivor? And that's always hard too.
And and you probably, you probably don't want to deviate too far from the original idea, right?
I will tell you the number one selling things here are brisket. Kansas City is a beef town.
Cows, poor cows.
Yeah, it is absolutely a beef town.
Do you have beef ribs?
We do not have beef ribs. We have done them in the past as specials and that sort of thing.
Right.
We'll feature things for a month or so. Yeah, and we have done we did a very large beef rib, and we served it with a pasta dish. It was almost, we were actually in Italy, and so when we would travel, he would get his inspiration from other places and bring things back here.
Okay.
So it was fun. It was a dish that it was served with pasta, and it was actually a pork shank.
Right.
And he came back and he tried that with a beef rib, and it was big and yummy.
One of the biggest debates also, and maybe you can touch on it here, because one thing is that a lot of people want to talk about is the different woods.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like the hickory, the
pecan,
oak, pecan, cherry,
applewood.
And there's so many varieties that pair better.
Did you ever tell
meats.
Rob, pick one, please?
But you kind of gotta use certain ones for the certain meat. Or do you guys use a base?
You can. So that's where the art and the science come together. Right. So obviously, certain woods do yield a different kind of smoke. So things like mesquite, it is strong and bitter. So we don't use that. Yeah. Hickory is a little bit better. So we use oak and hickory here because we can get them consistently, and the flavors are consistent that come out of the smoke, and things are very consistent coming out of it. The oak we have a wood-fired grill as well. Okay. So that was part of Rob's vision of, I don't just want to be smoked meats. Yeah. I think wood-fire grilling adds so much flavor to anything you do, and he really used that to elevate all of our dishes.
Makes sense. So, doors open. We're praying for people to come in here, right? Like, please show up.
Yes.
And the floodgates happen. I don't know, maybe not. Talk to us. What was those first couple months?
Sure.
Q39.
Well, a couple things. First of all, we were with Page Communications. We asked them to be our PR folks, and they are still with us today.
Yeah. Shout out Lee.
Yes. And they put together a kind of a grand opening for us and helped us orchestrate that and invite community stakeholders and people around, including the mayor, Sly James at the time. Yeah. And that helped. And I think Rob was, good, marketing is expensive. We're done, right? I'm like, no, we have to keep marketing. And he very quickly was on board with that. Right. And then, but the very first day we were actually, so you usually have grand openings or soft openings before you are officially open to the public. Right. And I got a call. You're here a lot, of course, 18 hours. Sure. And so I got a call. Right. I was home with the kids, and I got a call in the morning. He's like, the smoker didn't fire. The very first day. Oh, wow. I thought he was going to cry. I think maybe he was. Yeah. It was just like, the smoker didn't fire. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out I was like, well, what's the recovery? What are we going to do? What can you do? Right. And so he made it through. He delayed the meats for lunch, and we had a full-on menu for dinner. But our lunch was not what he intended the first day. But you know what? It worked out. It was okay. Yeah. But people started coming. It's also hard getting help and getting the right managers. And so the first person that we had as a general manager, there was not enough structure here, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of making it up as you go along. Yeah. And I think it was a little tough for her. And she's like, this is more than I feel like I can do.
She was overwhelmed with
So within a month, we lost our general manager.
Oh, wow.
So then it's like, guess who has to come in and fill it in? Yeah. So I literally worked at Hallmark in the daytime, 8 to 5. I left at 5 from Hallmark and drove here, and I'd close the restaurant down every night, and I worked all day Saturday and Sunday.
How long did you do that?
For about 8 weeks.
Okay.
So not too long, but
yeah.
But I still worked most nights.
That's a long 8 weeks, though.
Yeah. Well, 7 days a
two
week.
full-time jobs.
Yes.
Really, 2 full-time jobs. And you look back and you're like, how did I do that? And you know,
And
you do what
kids.
you have to do.
Yeah.
Well, my youngest son tells me how I pretty much abandoned him.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
We hear that from our kids. Don't worry.
Yes,
And we just start a
yes.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
And I'm like, okay, that's just a short period of time.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny. He loves it, but he does pick on me sometimes.
So, I mean, if you could think back to those times, right? I know this is a little ways away, but
Sure.
I mean, just what would you say, man? These were the real struggles that we went through. I mean, obviously, day one, smokers not firing up.
Right.
That's a challenge, right? But there had to be some challenges. I mean, people. I think sometimes, you know, we get wrapped up and see things and we're like, oh, that's successful. Look at that. Day one, successful, right?
Completely.
And there has to have been some challenges you guys worked
All
through.
along the way.
Yeah.
I think what you're alluding to is also there's that imagery of the iceberg, and what people see
Yes.
is the piece above, and what they
Yes.
don't see is the struggle,
The struggle
below.
below, yeah.
So there were many things. I think when you're an entrepreneur and you hire people to work for you, it's hard to find people that have as much passion as you do, because
Sure.
basically no one's going to be
Yeah.
as passionate as you.
Because it's your baby, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it was learning to find the people with the right hospitality mindset and the same quality expectations consistently.
Right.
So that's to this day, and that was Rob's favorite word. Always, when you meet a chef, you go, "Oh, where do you like to eat?" And do you like this? He goes, "I don't mind if it's an expensive bar food or whatever. I
Yeah.
just as long as it's consistent,
Consistent.
and it's the right value for what I'm paying.
The service
But
is good.
He's like, but the consistency is
Yeah.
what makes it, and
Right.
so
That's what keeps people coming back.
it is absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that was his. I think that was his biggest challenge, and it's also as an entrepreneur hard to step away and ensure that consistency is happening.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say for the first about 3 years, it just didn't really stop. I mean, he worked 7 days a week,
So, yeah,
and
nonstop.
work. He would at first he would open, but then he would go in more like 9, but then he would close. So
Yeah.
it was a good 12-hour day, 7 days a week.
And what month in 2014 was that
April.
April. Okay.
Wow.
And I want to say, JL, that I have, and I looked on my Facebook, right?
When'd
and
you come in here?
When I came in here.
April
Oh.
2014?
No. And so I live out north. I live in Liberty.
Sure.
Okay. So, by the way, if you're looking for a third location,
I got you.
third
Yeah.
location, there's no
I knew
barbecue.
he worked that in somehow.
Yeah, there's no barbecue restaurant up there at all. All right. Anyways,
Big opportunity.
I came down here and I met Rob.
Good.
I came down here and I met him, Jail. I came in by myself. I sat at the bar right there.
Yes.
And he was at the end, right here closest
Yes.
to us. And yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
He was real welcoming, and he even brought out my plate, which I ordered ribs.
Nice.
And yeah, he was like, I asked him if he was the owner. He said, I am. Nice to meet you. Shook his hand. Great guy.
Thank you.
Great guy.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that. I mean, if was Rob restaurant Rob and then home Rob? Was it the same Rob, or did you see two different Robs, or how did that work?
That's such a good question. I think he was a larger than life personality most of the time. I mean, he lived large. In fact, we have a family motto that we believe is his, and it's called "Go big or go home." And
Love
that
that.
means when you're going to go barbecue and the competitions, go and you're going to go to win. So
Yeah.
it's kind of give it your all. If you're going to choose to do something, do it the best you can.
Absolutely.
And that's really what that means.
Yeah.
But he also was a larger than life personality. So when he was here, he really wanted everybody to have the best experience while they were here. He genuinely wanted that. But even at home, again, anytime we had guests a lot and people over all the time, and our house was never quiet, and so we had 4 kids,
Four
and there was
kids,
just
yeah.
there was just constantly people in our house,
Yeah.
and so he was always kind of the ringleader of
Right.
the fun
The
and
chaos.
the yes,
Social
yes,
activities.
but fun,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
I get that. That's cool. I mean, I think that's important for people to know, right? Because I'm sure, just like with D-Rod, right? You meet somebody, and I know we want to get into his story, with cancer and stuff, but when you don't have that opportunity to have a conversation with them again, you're wondering sometimes, like, okay, is that the real person?
what's he really
Or
like?
What
Yeah.
were they really like?
Yeah.
So that's really amazing to hear from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the location going. You work through some challenges, obviously, and you probably still are, which I'm sure every business owner is, right?
Absolutely.
Every entrepreneur. Talk about how you guys got to Overland Park, though.
Sure.
I mean, that was really cool whenever that opened up, because I'm in Kansas, and it's not just because of that, but I tend to work all my jobs out in Johnson County.
Sure.
So I was like, holy moly, I can actually come and eat lunch here now.
Yeah.
So this was successful, this location, beyond our wildest dreams.
Yeah.
I mean, we jumped and jumped and jumped in spurts of business, and that's another thing that Rob did really well. He wasn't just creative as far as pulling this stuff together, but he, in his hotel and culinary background, he understood two things. He understood the nuances between carryout and catering and in dining, because if you think about how those line up with restaurant or hotels, you have catering in hotels and all those events. You kind of have room service, which was kind of like carry out, and then you have restaurants that are dine in. So he had that experience. The second thing, as we grew, he was not afraid to invest more and hire more and build more. So Alberto tells a very funny story. He's our head pitmaster, and he's like, I told him, Rob, we need more smokers. I can't smoke enough meat every day. So we built onto the back. We've added, we have more than we have triple the original smoking space that we used to have.
Here?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So he recognized, and this is very hard because a lot of restaurants, it's like sometimes enough's enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're here, it's like, okay, this is good. I like this. I'm successful. I'm happy. This is enough. Yeah. And I think his passion just kept driving. He goes, no, I can do more. I can do more. I can impact more people. I can serve more barbecue. I think he loved that. And at that point, he was, I would say, a year and a half in, starting to sniff around and think, maybe there's another location we can have. Okay. And I think locations are also very critical decisions for businesses.
Yes.
And especially restaurants. And I think prime traffic areas are extremely expensive. So we kind of tried to stay away from those and go into a space that we'd have to draw people to.
Yeah.
And because while 39th Street there was a lot of traffic here, this was not like everybody knew where it was and that sort of thing. Right. And Hayward's had been a fantastic location, and it had faded a little bit. Hayward had retired, and he was ready to sell the building. And we had some mutual friends, and we connected with him, and he goes, I had thought about it. Well, yeah, I'll sell you the building. And he talked about the business, and we're like, we don't need the business. We've got ours. So we really just want the building. And he really thought about it. And the folks who have the Hayward's business now, they've moved to a couple locations, but they're doing really well. They right-sized where they were, and they're doing great. Right. So we bought the building, and again, we gutted the thing. I mean, we really, because the barbecue model is different, they had the big old brick oven type smokers. And so we went in and totally relaid out the whole place. I mean, it's confusing. He was laughing. Hayward came and visited us when he was still alive, and he in fact, he came regularly, and he would walk in. He goes, I don't recognize the place because it was so twisted. It was so different the way the architects laid it out. But it was really. Rob had been diagnosed with cancer in between opening this restaurant and that one.
Oh, okay.
And so when he first was diagnosed, he was like, and it was spring of 2016.
I was going to ask that. Thank you.
Spring of 2016. Okay. And he was like, well, that's it. I'm not going to go open. He'd found the location, and we were under contract, and but we hadn't fully inked all the deal. And he's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it was colon cancer. And, a lot of people are familiar with Katie Couric, back in the 90s, and she had lost her husband. But I thought, we've got this now. Colon cancer is very beatable, and that is true if it's caught early. So he and I were both very optimistic. Let's get you through treatment. Let's see how you feel. Don't walk away from a good deal when, a year from now, you're going to wish you had this.
Right.
So he didn't, and it wasn't just me. There was other friends around him that were like, we think you can do this. And I think it also gave him something to focus on other than his cancer. It was another project. It was just something he could pour his heart into.
It was an early diagnosis, would you say?
No, it was not.
It was not.
It was not, unfortunately. It was late stage 3.
Okay.
So which puts them on the opposite end of the
optimism, probably.
Well, the statistics are challenging. If it's caught early, you have a 90% chance rate. If it's caught late stage, like stage 3 or 4,
Yeah.
you have a 10% chance of surviving
wow.
more than 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
So, and he beat the odds a little bit. He was over 5.5 years.
Okay.
But I think again, he chose to focus on what he wanted to do still. And I think opening that restaurant early on, assuming we all assumed he had beat it and he was going to be fine. And so I think he really, really liked having that second thing. It opened in 2017.
Yeah.
In August. And it was a big challenge. A lot of people opening number 2 is like doubling the size of your business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, what you could do with just tribal knowledge, you can be in the one place, everybody can hear what you want, and you can keep an eye on things in one place. But all of a sudden, you have two,
Yeah.
and you can't have as much control.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like you got to be concerned about consistency, right?
That's when that came up.
Like holy moly, how can we maintain like we know we're doing things really good here at Q39. Now we're south, a little south from here, obviously. How do we maintain consistency? So how did you? I mean, talk about that. Like, how did you guys build up to make sure, like, we want this to be successful? This is what we're doing. Who we're sending over there.
Sure. So I think, and a lot of folks, they talk about SOPs, standard operating procedures, and they look at what's needed to do each thing. But Rob was very hands-on. So he trained people hands-on, one-on-one, and what to look for.
Yeah.
So we used that, and I'm in the background trying to say, okay, well, can we write this all down?
Yeah.
Can we document all of this?
Yeah.
And we kind of did. Then the other thing is that we really relied on was guest feedback. And we really talked to even our closest friends, and we're like, no, really.
Yeah.
When you dine at either location, if something's off or not the same as the other location, tell us.
Right.
And we really appreciated the candid feedback. And it's easy, even in like the online reviews.
Yeah.
It's super easy to get
Oh my
defensive
gosh.
because
We've
you're
had
like,
so many people tell us about that.
oh my gosh, it's very aggravating, and like they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's really important actually that every person who puts something on there is a pearl of wisdom in there somewhere. So read it and don't get defensive, and take it as what can I learn from this? And that's really the important part.
I mean, there's no way they were telling you guys like make your ribs like this.
No, there's no way they could be telling that. Between the 2 restaurants that you have now, like your growth of employees, how has that grown?
Yeah.
So we have, I would say, we have about 125 employees per location.
Oh, wow.
So that we have
nice.
250 team members.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you gave briefly about, you gave a couple shout outs to some people that have been here from the beginning.
Yes.
Is that there more than just them?
Yes, so Ronnie Martinez, Alberto Martinez, they're not related, and then Isaac Mija, and those are the 3 probably the managers that have been with us the longest, since almost the inception. Isaac didn't start out as a manager, but he worked his way up.
Yeah.
Shout out Martinez.
Yes.
Are you guys
And
hiring?
Isaac.
I'm sure people want to know. Are you guys hiring?
I'll be a taste
Absolutely.
tester.
We are always looking for great people. When you're passionate about hospitality, there's always room on our team for more.
Excellent.
And that's another question I was going to ask you. You talked about it a little bit about Rob's vision and the consistency and how it has to be. What's one of the, like you said, hospitality for people to work here? What experience do you want for the guests and the customers come in here?
Yeah.
So help me understand the question a little better.
When people come in, because there's some friends of mine guys I work with that have not been here.
Okay.
Hasn't been here. They live far away or whatever. So,
but they have their own favorites. Yeah.
What type of dining experience are you making sure that your employees offer? Right.
I think the vision is, and I think I think our team does a great job meeting this vision, and it's to have an elevated hospitality experience, which is a big call for barbecue, because barbecues are known as a joint, right? They might have paper towels on the table and squirt bottles of their sauce, and you might have a plate or a tray that's not fancy. And so from the whole environment, we have china and linen napkins and actual silverware and the whole thing. Our sauces aren't even on the table. Our sauces are kept hot, and we serve the individual sides hot, and because that's how it's best enjoyed.
Right.
So people are heart of the house, the cooks and people preparing, they have to have that passion, because we serve, between the two locations, we'll serve about an average of 3,000 people a day.
Wow.
About 15,000 a week. That's a lot of people.
That is.
So it's very easy to find shortcuts or ways to deviate. Or I can get this done faster if I do this or that or the other. And
Cut
it's
a corner
like,
here and there.
right. And it's not because they are trying to do a bad job. It's like they just want to get it done, and because there's so much to do, and I got to get on to the next thing. So it's super every day.
Yeah.
It's really important that our team is making sure they have enough people and enough resources to do their jobs well.
Absolutely.
Then in the front of the house, we really, really want folks to feel welcome, and that we are really guiding their dining experience so they have a memorable
Absolutely.
dining experience.
Well,
And
that's where it starts.
Sure.
yes.
Yeah, that's where it starts.
So the two locations, I mean, between all that, you guys worked in your own rubs,
Oh, yes.
more sauces,
Yes.
right? I mean, was that something Rob and the team was working on through the whole time, or
From the barbecue competitions, yes. These are all products from his barbecue
all
competition,
products.
except for one thing. The chipotle sauce, I don't know if I can see him here anywhere. He is our basic, that's our zesty, that's our
the next
vinegar.
one over, I think.
Yes, chipotle. So he is our classic, but we add chipotle to it here on site, and makes it a fresh. It's a little spicier, got a little more kick to it. Not terribly spicy, but just a
Yeah.
little more punch.
Did he ever ask you, hey Kelly, try these?
All the time.
Yeah.
I was tasting them all the time.
Yeah.
One time we were at a barbecue competition, and when they're cutting up the meat and getting it ready to serve it, they, try it, taste it. He has the people around him taste it and share your opinion.
Yeah.
And I was tasting burnt ends, and he was moving them around on the plate, and he goes, "Here, taste this one. Here, taste this one." And then I grabbed another one, and he's like, "That was for the box." I was like, "Oh, sorry."
You got to cut a certain way.
Well, he put it somewhere on the board, and I took from the wrong pile to taste it. So
Oh, I got you.
it was just funny that and
You
also
just
once you start
grabbed it.
tasting, they're
Yeah.
pretty darn good.
And I was wondering, when you start having so many different sauces and trying them as he created them and the team, I was wondering if there's a way, JL, if you ever bought perfume for your wife, they put coffee beans to try and clear it out. Like with the taste of sauces or any of that, is there a way that you got to try and distinguish them to make sure your palate?
I think that's very good. Sometimes we try the meat without any sauce on it first, and then you would try it with the different sauces
how
to
it
see what you
pairs.
liked.
Oh, right.
I have heard that. I don't know if you've heard this, but have you heard this, like, I would say it's rumor, maybe gossip. Kansas City is a sauce town.
We tend to be. That's my understanding. I think, but yes, I think traditionally Kansas City is a sauce town.
Okay. And I think, man, sometimes, like, when I go to the restaurants, I'll say Q39, I'll include it in this. You can eat this food without the sauce.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I struggle with that, by the way.
Agree. Well, honestly, just a little confession here. When I was younger, and I would go to Hayward's, and I'm like, no, I don't want sauce on it. And so I like a little bit of a good sauce because it adds to the flavor, but the idea is not to cover it up in sauce. And so if the sauce elevates it, great.
Yeah.
But really tasty smoked meat doesn't need a lot of sauce.
And that's what I remember, Jay, when I came in here, when I met Rob, I got the ribs. I think I got the full slab knowing me.
Yeah.
And he put the sauce on the side. And he was explaining it all to me.
Wow.
At that time, he was like, yeah, well, that's how we do it. Exactly what you said.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a incredible model, and the experience you describe for people who've never been here. I mean, listen, Kansas City. If you're not in Kansas City, you're coming to Kansas City. Come here. Incredible food, incredible experience. Staff is amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible service, incredible drinks, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Gotta ask you this question: did you ever feel like there was a time where Q39 was not going to be a reality?
No. Because I think if you knew Rob, it's like one of those things that's like once he puts his mind to do something,
Yeah.
no matter what, he's going to figure out a way to make it work. And I knew that about him already.
Early on.
Yes. And so it was scary, but I also knew that, okay, whatever it takes, he doesn't have this pride of, oh, they don't like my stuff, I'm going to close up shop and not do it.
Right.
It was, what do they want?
Yeah.
But I think he was willing to adjust anything, and I'll give you a for instance. So we love all of our sides. We prepare fresh here on site.
Yeah.
Except our French fries, they're cooked fresh, but we started out with the potatoes, peeling them and, putting them through the French fry slicer thing and doing that, but they didn't hold well. Like if you got them fresh out of the fryer and served here, but they didn't last. And so if you waited even 10, 15 minutes, they weren't great anymore. So we were getting a lot of complaints of kind of lackluster fries kind of stuff. So we found an amazing product that is already pre-cut,
yeah.
And then we cook them here, obviously.
Okay.
But they maintain their crisp. They maintain that fluffiness on the inside with the crispiness on the outside. And so you have to change and be flexible and listen to your customer.
Sure. I get that. I get that.
Yeah. What's it like? So I keep on saying this because I got friends that want to come here.
Yeah.
So what's it look like when they come in? Is there walk-ins more or reservations?
I highly recommend reservations just because then you're for sure not going to wait.
Yeah.
You might catch us on moments where it's easier to dine in than not.
Right.
But on a lot of the weekends we're on a wait or there's a line.
Yeah.
But I do know we work hard to get people in as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, order something from carryout, and now we even have third-party delivery. So if you're like stuck in a hotel room and you're too tired, after a long day, maybe visiting, doing other things, you can get it delivered.
Yeah.
Right. So let me just add, if anybody wants to come here, you gotta make those reservations.
Yes, it is
and
easy.
Please wait because it's well worth
Incredible.
it. Incredible.
When Rob was sick, Kelly, and at some point you knew, okay, he's not going to last, right? You talked about the 10%, and can you share what was that conversation like? Hey, this is my baby, this is our baby. What was that like with you guys? Because this was going to transition, right? To where you were just going to have to be the face of Q39.
Sure. So we worked really hard, obviously, and Rob was spending a lot of time battling his health issues. And so, of course, in the middle of all of it, we run into COVID. And we shut down the restaurants, and we have to reopen them in these weird rules and all this kind of stuff. So that was like reopening 2 restaurants all over again.
Right.
So the energy that took and the stamina that took was a lot. And I think his vision was that he might sell the restaurants and that I then would not have to work anymore. I think he really wanted me to be taken care of and to enjoy the rest of my life.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I really respected that. We got down to the point of do we sign or not sign? And he was very sick at that point. So this is late 2021.
Okay.
And I, at that point, really wasn't ready to make that decision. Okay. I was most concerned about the people that worked and made Q39 what it is. Yeah. And I didn't want to walk away from them.
Right.
Whatever happened with the restaurants, I wanted to make very sure they were well taken care of.
For their family.
Yes. Well, this would not be without all of them. And I had a very deep respect for that. And I was very, very touched by the outpouring when he did pass. It was kind of a really, very touching. And I think he really was well recognized and well loved for what he brought to the barbecue scene.
Absolutely.
So I took some time to make that decision, and about 6-9 months in, I was like, I love this business as much as he does, and I don't want to walk away from it. Yeah. And while I might not be an expert at cooking a brisket, and I may not be able to jump back there and run a prep line or the fire grill, the wood-fired grill part. Right. I know how this business runs. I know how to make it sing and
Well,
do
you're
well.
part of its success too.
Absolutely.
beginning, yeah.
Absolutely.
You was
So
in the
I
beginning.
knew intuitively what it needed. And I was fortunate to have some fantastic managers and leaders
Right.
and some who have come and supported me since then. And so that is what makes it live on.
Oh, that's
And
incredible.
they've joined the vision and believe in it.
Yeah.
That's great.
So you decided like, I'm
I'm not
continuing.
out. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to continue.
I just said, nope, I love this. I am sticking with it.
Yeah. I could imagine, I mean, just, people, like-minded business people approaching you during those times saying,
Sure.
hey, we would love to buy this business
Yes.
from you.
Yes.
You probably had quite a bit of offers, I would imagine.
Sure, it
Yeah.
was, and I very much appreciated it because
Yeah.
it did give me some ways to think about what I wanted to do again with the rest of my
Absolutely.
life.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think anyone who loses a partner, you kind of have to, and we're still kind of young, we're in our
Yeah.
50s, and it's like. I know you youngsters out there may not think that's young, but we think it's young.
Oh yeah, we're young.
It's
We'll
young.
say
And,
young.
and you're a young 50, by the way, Kelly.
Thank you. So you have to take stock and you're like, what do I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt leading this company was the best way for me to do the things I wanted to do in my community and for the people here.
Absolutely.
Well, like you said, Rob's vision, his dream, his passion, and what him and you built here. And you helped carry that, and you're doing great things with it. But is there any certain thing also that you had to put your twist on it of something you like? I mean, you said that. Was it your favorite meal or favorite dish?
Sure. Well, I have a few favorites, but the early one on was he has an incredible mac and cheese, and it's a cavatappi pasta, and it has like a 5 cheese sauce on it, and I love that mac and cheese. It's like the best comfort food.
Yeah.
And then I would put, but it's very creamy, so I would put like the sausage on it, and then once we have pork belly, I would put pork belly with it. So like having mac and cheese and adding one of the barbecue meats with it was really my very favorite
So that
thing
was your
to
twist
do.
on it.
That was my biggest twist, and
Right.
he was rightfully concerned because he's like, if it takes off, I don't know how the line's going to keep up with making the mac and cheese.
Yeah.
But once he put it on the menu, by golly, the kitchen, those guys stepped up and figured it out.
Yeah.
JL, you had the mac and cheese?
I have had the mac and cheese. Kelly, we got to celebrate you. We got to celebrate
thank you.
Rob. We got to celebrate Q39 real fast. You know what that is, D-Rod?
I know exactly what that
That's a
is.
salute.
Salute.
Kelly,
That's a
salute.
salute to Rob.
All right. I know we got to get wrapping this up. So let me just ask this. What is the future of Q39? We have 2 locations, incredible locations. What do you see? I mean, we're asking you, what do you see as the future?
So I would say in the next 3 to 4 years, I'd love to have 5 locations in the region. And in 10 years, I'd love to have 10 in like a 5-state region. And I would love for us to be one of the very best restaurants to work for. I think we already are, but I would want to maintain that for sure.
Absolutely.
So those are kind of my goals. We are also passionately creating partnerships within other businesses in the community and other not-for-profits, and really having a giving back to the community that's done so much for us.
Gotcha.
And passionately supporting us. So we are really enjoying giving back and doing a lot of things with some of those community partners.
So you're actively looking right now for locations?
So
or?
we have 2 that are on the horizon. I have one in Lawrence, Kansas, down on just off of Mass Street, and that's under construction right now.
Excellent.
And then we have a location in Lee Summit, and it is where 291 hits Highway 50.
Yeah.
Drake is developing a big piece of land there, and so we will be one of the very first to go in there. So we'll start building that in August.
Okay.
And as anybody who's done any property development knows, your best laid plans go awry very quickly.
Yeah.
Delays and timing and everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as it turns out, we're probably going to open one in the spring next year, and then another one later next year. We have to space ourselves out from a resource standpoint.
Absolutely.
So we're opening 2 next in 2026. And then
Liberty,
I hear you. We need something up north.
There's nothing
Rob
there.
did start up there up north, right?
He
There's
did.
absolutely
He
no
did.
barbecue
Shout
in
out,
Liberty.
keep it in mind.
I think you're right. I think that probably needs to be the next place.
It's booming up there.
Listen, Kelly, this has been an incredible conversation. We cannot wait to see what the future holds for
Thank you.
Q39, for you. You know, the story of Q39 in many ways is just beginning. You know, and we're so glad to just be sitting here with you, and you know, you taking the time to tell Kansas City the story.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
fun, quick couple questions. We're gonna wrap this up. Just fun, quick couple questions.
Sure.
If you had to tell somebody when you come to Q39 first time, you have to order this, no matter what. This is you will love this no matter what. What are they ordering?
Oh my goodness. That's
you got an
hard.
appetizer?
That's like picking your favorite child, right?
All right.
I can tell you what I think their most probably fulfilling meal would be. I would order the chicken wings, and then I would have probably the brisket plate, and I would have, if it's the summertime, I would recommend the cucumber onion salad. And because it's very unique.
Yeah.
And then probably I would do either French fries or mac and cheese with that for the starch.
Okay.
And you have to finish it up with dessert. Carrot cake is by far our most popular.
Oh man, and I love carrot cake, D-Rod.
Yeah, I love carrot cake
I love
too.
carrot cake.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a restaurant outside of Q39 that you would say you come to Kansas City, period, go eat here? Not,
my goodness.
Not just Q39.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so first of all, I love supporting other restaurants in our community, and we have so many good ones. I think Kansas City is the most hidden foodie town
Yes.
there is, because I think the arts here is also very strong, and I think the culinary part of it is just part of that arts being strong.
Yeah.
To me, it's always, well, what are you in the mood for? And are you in a hurry? Or there are just so many good things. So I hate to even just say
No,
there's
it's
not
okay.
just
No
one.
worry.
I just
You're
hate
not
it.
the first restaurateur to tell us that. You're like, oh
You
my
can't,
god.
you can't go against
Putting me
anybody.
on
I
the
know.
spot.
It's like, do you want sushi? Do you want,
Yes.
Mexican? Do you
Yes.
want
Yes.
Italian?
Yeah.
Do you want steak?
Yes.
There's
Right,
just,
Yes.
we have so many
So
really
many.
great
Okay.
things here
Right.
that I just can't, I hate to do it. I
Yeah.
can't.
Okay, how about this one?
Dodging it.
How about good choice. How about this one? There are so many barbecue states. All right, we talked a little bit about it already. We got Texas, we got
Yeah.
Memphis, we got everybody who's trying to barbecue. What separates this Kansas City barbecue from everybody else's?
Besides, we're the best.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I think Kansas City is the great melting pot of barbecue, and I think we have the Kansas City Barbecue Society here, and we have the recently opened First Barbecue Museum. I think
Yeah, that's right.
our heritage goes back. We have been celebrating community things with actual barbecue for well over 100 years, and it is woven into every single fabric of what we do. I don't think there's any one style. We talk about burn ends, we talk about sauce when people think of specifying Kansas City barbecue, but we have so many other things here. So we even have people doing fusion. I'll call out Buck Tui, the heat. Doing such great things, and we have so many barbecue places that each have their own thing that they bring to the table. I don't know. I would love for someone to fact check me on this. At one point I read we are the highest number of barbecue restaurants per capita in the world.
I believe
So
it.
I believe it.
I think that should be fact checked, but
believe
I really believe because we have such a variety of flavors, and so we don't do just one meat. We are a beef town, just because of where we are.
Right.
But we
Cowtown.
do smoke them all, and we do enjoy them all, and really work hard to perfect them all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's why I think we're the best.
Okay, I know you're
amazing.
a restaurateur and you can't say nothing about open restaurants now, but I like asking this question. Is there a restaurant that's closed that you wish was still open?
Wow.
Don't say Shoney's.
Goodness. I'm not sure, really, off the top of my head.
Okay.
Maybe I just have short-term memory.
That's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
Well, when you used to have being here for 7 days a week, right?
Right.
Yeah. How can you compare?
Kelly, incredible conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
Last thing, is there anything you want to share with our audience, people listening, just that you want to express?
just that we are very appreciative every day that people choose to come and dine with us. And again, our passion here is creating craveable, memorable dining experiences, and we hope to continue to do that every day.
Well said. With that, you know what that is. That's a salute.
That's
One
our
last
salute.
salute.
Last salute.
Salute.
to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enterrupt KC, everybody. JL.
And D-Rod.
Like, follow, share, subscribe.
Yes,
Come
sir.
holler at Q39.
Come
The
on, look at
staff
this,
here.
man.
Come have a great drink or
Look
two.
at this.
Look at this plate, which we didn't touch because we didn't want to be rude.
Yeah, I can't be talking with my mouth full.
Thank you, everybody. We're out of here. Peace.
Thank you.